We are going to go ahead and move on to lesson 1.2, applying orders of operations. Orders of operation are super important in math, especially in algebra. Remember, order of operations follow PEMDAS. P stands for parentheses. E stands for exponents. M stands for multiplication. D stands for division. A, addition. And S, subtraction. Reminder, you are always going to follow this order. Whenever you are looking at an expression, you are always going to follow this order. So you're going to go down your steps. Step 1, are there parentheses? No, there are no parentheses. Moving on to exponents and so on. If you are left with multiplication and division or addition and subtraction, you always go left to right. So multiplication and division are kind of on the same line, and same thing with addition and subtraction, but you're always going to do it left to right. So let's go ahead and start out with some of these examples. Letter A, are there any parentheses? No, no parentheses. Next one, are there any exponents? Oh, look, there's an exponent right here. So we're going to rewrite everything except for what we evaluate. So 5 times, well, what is 2 to the third? That's 2 times 2 times 2. If I were to do that on a calculator or on my paper, I would know that 2 times 2 is 4, and then 4 times 2 is 8. So 5 times 8 divided by 2 plus 8. Are there any more exponents? There are not any more exponents. So now we are going to move on to multiplication / division from left to right. So this is where it gets tricky. I am not going to take 8 divided by 2 first. I'm always going to work left to right when I have multiplication and division. So in this case, 5 times 8, we're going to evaluate as 40, and then rewrite everything else. Then we're going to apply the division. 40 divided by 2 is 20, and rewrite everything else. Then our last thing that we have to do is add. 20 plus 8 is 28. Make sure that you are always following these steps. A lot of students will get messed up and start doing addition and subtraction before they even do any type of parentheses or exponents. Let's go ahead and do a couple more examples. On letter B, whenever you have a fraction, treat the top and bottom as if they're in parentheses. Okay, you're always going to simplify the top and the bottom separately before you do any division. That's very, very important. So let's look at just the top section. It says 5 times 6 squared. Well, order of operations tells me to do exponents. Because I do not have any parentheses, I'm going to move on to exponents. So 6 squared is 36. So on the top we have 5 times 36. And then from here, we're going to keep simplifying the top. 5 times 36 is 180. So now we have simplified the top. We know that instead of 5 times 6 squared, it's going to be 180. Now we need to simplify the bottom. Remember, we're treating as though the top and the bottom are each in their own set of parentheses. Well, what is 2 plus 8? 2 plus 8 is 10. So we are left with 180 divided by 10. We can cancel those zeros out. We are left with 18 over 1, which is 18. Always make sure that you do what is inside the parentheses first, and if there's a fraction, treat that fraction as if they are in parentheses on the top and the bottom. Let's go ahead and do one more example here. We'll go ahead and move down to letter E. In letter E, we have some double parentheses. So starting off, we're going to start always with the inner parentheses. So we start with 12 minus 2. 12 minus 2 is 10. Rewrite everything else. Now we can move on to the next set of parentheses, our outer parentheses. Well, we're left with 15 plus 10, which we know is 25. Whenever there is not a symbol between a number and a parenthesis, you can always assume it's going to be multiplication. So we have 5 times 25, which is going to be 125. And that is how we are going to follow our order of operations.